I'm alive. Also, Pixel Chat, what are you talking about? I turned you on, Pixel Chat. There you go. Still telling me to turn it on. It's just because I hadn't spoken since I clicked start. Right, actual music. Okay. That's loud. We've gone with the Nier soundtrack today instead of the Drakengard 3 one, which is equally really good. Almost like they were the same game series or something. Who would know? Oh god, yeah, I forgot I turned on the other Wiggly. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to studying this person's art and trying to work out how to be good. Let's put a background color in of the usual not bright white so our eyes don't melt. Have I made enough space? I have done enough space. Good. Oh, but not quite down the bottom I haven't. Canvas size. Not quite what I was after, but you know. Okay then. I'm going to do myself a favour. And do my three values down there just so I can easily mix between them. But most of it is going to be in the mid-tone. Because that is all pretty much always the case anyway. Now let's see, will work? Will it work? Maybe? I don't think it did. It's so hit or miss, that redeem. Right, let's try blocking this out then. So having real trouble trying to pick out one to try studying, because obviously they're all good, but there are some situations that, I mean, unless I actually like start doing that whole webcomic idea that I thought of years ago, the chances of me actually using like indoor scenes, at least for now, is quite minimal. And by indoor scenes, I mean like houses and stuff like that. Houses, libraries, a couple of others that I've got. And one of the things about doing these studies is it's good to actually study on things you're actually going to like possibly want to do things with later. Because then you're more likely to remember them. You know, if you're never going to draw animals, there's no point doing animal studies, for example. It might help you with some basic stuff, but there's better things for you to study if you're going to be doing human drawing most of the time. Like, for example, doing figure studies will be a lot more useful than drawing animals. But considering one of the future campaigns we're going to be in is possibly going to be mildly mechanical in nature, at least like for my character. Also, there's the whole thing of like steampunky stuff for the VTube stuff altogether, overall. I figured this one might be a good one to try working on. Like an indoor machinery type scene. Honestly, I was looking for an outdoor scene that was a bit more rural that they'd done. Unfortunately, they haven't done any like that, so if I'm going to do studies on for that kind of stuff, I'm going to have to find someone else that has a similar style to what I'm after, so I can kind of see how things get proportioned. And that was mainly for the postling side of things, which I know Ginger definitely wants me to carry on working on, and so I'm going to actually need to, do some work on. Yep, the postlings. Because currently they are the only species that we've actually kind of decided is a definite going to happen. Although, honestly, even if the Rise of Ember stuff never happens, I'm still stealing my own idea for my own world building. So, really, what's happening is I'm doing my own world building and just happening to lend it to Rise of Embers when the time comes. Tell you one thing, this bit needs to be further up. Also a bit smaller, I think. And in case anyone's trying to understand what the woman is singing and what language it is, don't worry, she's not singing a language. The crazy people made up an entire language for the game. And then they were like, "Hey, singer person, would you mind singing in this nonsense language for us?" And she did, and made it sound like an actual language. And if I was any kind of actually, good streamer, I would know her name. I think it's Emmy, but I don't know her surname. Hey, Cac. That is the final end of the fifth end of ending E. What ends up happening in the final section, you basically do the twin stick shooter mini game against the credits as the final boss. And as it gets harder and harder, you have to keep destroying the credits, and you're being attacked at the same time, and it starts getting harder and harder until the end of the credits. And it starts after about like 5 minutes, when you're nearing the end. It starts asking when you die, it will ask you questions like, "Do you think this is just a game?" I think I posted it on Blue Sky a few weeks ago when people said like, "What's the the best ending to a game or something?" It's like, do you think this is pointless? Do you think this is just a game? What are you even here for? Those sort of questions. And then you keep on dying because it gets really hard. And then it just says, "So and so has sent a request to aid. Will you accept?" And when you say yes, a bunch of other players will join. It's not actually the players, it's like visualizations of their saves. So your little ship gets surrounded by all of their ships, and you start like doing a hell of a lot more damage. When you get hit, they lose their save to protect you. And then when you finish the final credits, it basically says, "Okay, will you sacrifice your save to do for others what was done for you?" And you, of course, you say yes, and it removes every bit of data that you've played for possibly up to 40 hours at that point. And it is weirdly, even though it's a single player game, it makes you feel more connected to the players than any other multiplayer game ever has. Because basically, you know that everyone that helped you finish that last level gave up possibly 40 hours of their work just to help you out. And whenever they die, it will say, like, Washipa's data was lost, Steampunk Cac's data was lost, whenever you get hit too much and one of them dies. But yeah, it's incredibly wholesome. It's one of the reasons I stopped playing NieR Automata on stream, because I know full well that I would not be able to play that ending without crying. Every time I finish that game, even just listening to the song and remembering, it breaks me every single time. And yet Yoko Taro is incredibly good at being at storytelling. I mean, one of the reasons why I love the character of Emil is because it's such a fucking tragic story of a young kid who was basically experimented on to turn them into a weapon. When you first meet him in the first Nier, he's wearing a blindfold. He's basically wearing a head wrap around his eyes. It's not because he's blind. It's because he has a petrifying gaze. That if he's terrified that if he looks on anyone, it's going to just destroy them. And so he just walks around. He's got a butler, and the butler just makes sure he's doing okay. And then over time, you help him. You end up finding where his sister was taken when she was experimented on. And then you end up finding out she was turned into a monstrosity. And you help him defeat her by... He merges with her to make sure she stops. And in the process, his body gets fucked up and he stops being human. And that's... when we get the Emil that we know and love, which has a face that's like this. And he's just basically a scarecrow with a weird concrete head and a magic staff. But in doing so, he can actually control his power now, and he can look at anyone. And he just looks at the main characters like, you look older than I thought you would. The original, well, at least to the father Nier, because that's the one that I've actually seen the stuff from. In my head, that's the canon one, because, you get through that entire game, and at the end of the first Nier, Emil sacrifices himself in the good end to protect Nier, who's the main character, and Kaine, who is also another tragic character. But basically, you go into Nier, no one's happy, it's depressing, but they do their best. And so, yeah, Emil sacrifices himself, and you think, oh shit, that's it, the boy's gone. Then you roll around to Automata, and you just find he's still fucking alive as a head rolling around. And then you find out that it's not the original Emil, it's a clone, and he'd cloned himself so many times over the course of about 10,000 years whilst fighting the aliens that he's forgotten pretty much everything that happened in the first Nier. Apart from one thing, which is the Lunatia flower, and he knows that he has a connection to it, and he can't remember why. And that was the tear, the flower that they were looking for in the first Nier to cure someone of a deadly disease. Oh, story-wise, between Nier 1 and 2... I like the first one more for the characters. I way prefer the characters in Nier 1. I don't know what Brother Nier is like, because I've never watched that version of the playthrough. I don't know if he has the same sort of personality. But the father version of Nier, Emil and Kaine, are really good characters. And it's basically a father doing everything in his power to save his daughter, and then you find out horrific fucking things have been happening, And technically, Nier isn't even the original Nier. The bad guy is the original Nier, and Nier is like a weird clone that was made to have a soul put in him after the big evil disease had gone away. It's a very fucking yeah. The replicants, they're basically like a construct that was made by the original humans, so the original humans could fuck off and disappear into the ether and come back when the Black Scrawl, which was a deadly disease that turned up because an angel fell from the sky and a dragon. That's a different story. That's Drakengard 3. um, but yeah, so replicants were left around for so long, they became sentient or sapient, whatever you want to call it, and started just thinking they were the real ones. Yeah, it's from Drakengard. One of the endings from Drakengard 3, which is obviously the canon one because that's what led on to Nier. And the reason why it actually happens is because a jet fighter actually blows the dragon out of the sky. They die. They turn into dust, and that dust settles on the ground and causes the disease. So yeah, the replicants were created by the same people that were fucking around with Emil to weaponize him. Now, what I remember about the ending boss fight of that one is not only is it a rhythm game, but it's a rhythm game that's a horrible thing because the last note is after the screen turns to black. And if you miss it, you have to do the whole thing again. But that's one of the things I like about the Nier games is that they aren't scared of just going, hey, by the way, we're changing the gameplay for a bit. You're now on a side scroller, or you're now doing a top down shooter, or hey, visual novel time? Just text based novel on the screen? And it doesn't, it just happens out of nowhere. It just, I mean, it kind of happens in Nier Automata with the hacking mini game. Yeah, it was an absolutely bullshit ending, but as a final boss, it was just hang on. You know what? Fuck that. Let's see if we can jump through to. We're changing to the final boss music of Drakengard 3 because it's just increase it a bit because I think it's a slightly quieter one. But yeah, it was very much you had to do the rhythm based on the actual melody rather than looking at the screen. Yeah, I believe there is a nice, concise 6-hour YouTube video on the full timeline of events from the Drakengard and Nier. Because this song plays for the final boss when the dragon Mikhail, who was your friend to the entire thing, tries to kill you to save the world because you have turned into a 500-foot tall statue with a flower growing out of your eye that is basically going to destroy the world. Honestly, I didn't even know there were theatre plays, but it doesn't surprise me at all. Best actually draw on this drawing stream, hadn't I? Rather than just gushing about Nier. which is basically what I did when I was playing Nier. I just gushed about the music all the time. I really should go back to it. But I know that one of the weird links between the two between Drakengard and Nier Automata, is in Nier Automata the Resistance leader's friend is called Anemone. And Anemone is basically the merchant from Drakengard 3, who was just, you had the chats to as the main character, whilst they were like, oh yeah, I found this, would you like to get this? And sort of like a weird side character that you just thought was a bit crazy until the end, when there's like 100 of her and she's like a data recording robot from multidimensional futures or something. Yeah, the Drakengard / Nier story is insane and it's wonderful. This is a really bad value study. Not, I was hoping it would be a bit simpler, but it's not. I'm going to do what I did the other day. Move this one down here, so we've got a copy of it. Oh, you know why it's worse than the one I did the other day? It's because I'd made a copy of the original the other day, hadn't I? And then grayscaled it, so it was easier to pick out the tones. Oh well. Right, so let's get us some. Let's do this in sort of order. Then we've got those are our main colours. So our main. Okay, we've got a little one that's in between. So the main colour, actually, it's what's my after that one, and clip, I think that was it. Click to layer below. Oh, it's because there's not actually anything in the layer below. There we go. Right, mid-tone across the whole thing. Not looking for it to be perfect. Not anymore. Now it's so we get as close as we possibly can. Okay, which would be the easiest bit to start with? That's the colour I worked on there, so... let's see. Now I'll leave the Nier soundtrack on for after this, and we'll just skip back through like 20 minutes of it. Yeah, there's the twist with. I mean, it's not even the 9S twist that gets me. It's the 2B twist. Yeah, there is one thing I like about the way that the Nier storytelling is. It doesn't tell you it all. You have to like unpick it, but it's not so awkward to find out as like say Dark Souls, which is like you really have to go and unpick it because you aren't going to get told anything. You just get given some like random artifacts and have to piece it together. At least with Nier, you get like bits of the story here and there told to you, or you experience them, and then you're like, oh, but that means, oh, wait, that's the thing, and you have to like piece it together, but from things you've actually been told, not that you've had to guess. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to have a lot of conjecture with Dark Souls, and like we have no idea who was it. What's her face? The witch. We have no idea who she was. We just know she wore this outfit, and she was a witch. Was it Zilly? Is it no, not Zilly? That's different. But I think that's actually just a YouTuber. I think yeah. Is it actually Zulia? Okay, it might just be the person that was a YouTuber stole the name. But yeah, we don't have any idea who she actually was. We just know she was a witch, and she just turned up and did some stuff, and then disappeared. And we find her corpse later on. Everything else, people have had to figure it out and just guess and make an educated guess. It's the same with Bloodborne. As much as I love the work that JSF and I think Redgrave, especially Redgrave on the fucking thesis he did, essentially on Bloodborne. It's called the I think it's just called. Oh, is it called the Hunt? I can't remember the name of the document he made now. But yeah, there's someone called Redgrave did a massive thesis, like trying to explain everything, and a lot of it makes a lot of sense. The problem is a lot of it has had to be like pieced together from things that are in our world, and bearing in mind where the game was made, things like the whole vermin being bad is a very Japanese thing, with like things like millipedes and centipedes and various other bugs that aren't actually bad, are just seen as a generic vermin. And that is where the vermin in Bloodborne come from the DLC bit. There's nothing outright saying any of this is like the reasoning behind it. They've just had to like take educated guesses at what the meaning behind it was based on the people that made the game. Well, look, I mean, even our world, we can't, unless we can talk to people about it, a lot of what we know, we've had to guess as well. That's kind of what history is. Unless someone wrote it down, or it's very recent and we can just have a talk to the person that was there, we don't know for sure. Like, one of the big problems with like history is just how much of it has actually been lost. And even the stuff that was written down, we can't necessarily trust, because unless the person that wrote it down was there, they could just be bullshitting it. I mean, there's a bunch of those like sort of like written down all the journals from like adventurers who went off to like the early like people that went over to like Africa and various other areas that were like unknown. They would come back with like the weird like I don't know if anyone's ever seen. There was basically, oh, hang on, I've got to go to another layer for this because of the clipping. But there was like human people that were like this. The arms were there, and they had like eyes, and their face was on the chest, and they had no head. I can't remember the name that was given to them, but they were completely bullshit by someone that was like, "Oh yeah, I was told by someone that this is what they saw, so I've wrote it down." It was rubbish. Unless like it was just a really rare occurrence of seeing like a gorilla, and it was just a really bad description of what was happening. I don't know. But things like, so if you ever look at some of like the medieval art of creatures, you look at them and you're like, no, that's not what they look like. It's like I've seen pictures of leopards. I've seen a picture of a giraffe. And the giraffe description was it's like a leopard with a long neck, because they were talking about the skin coloration, like the fur colorations. But they literally just drew a leopard with a long neck, like outwards, front, like out forwards, because they weren't like told, oh no, it's always pointing upwards. It's like one of those so like I know that I don't know if Ginger's here, but at some point Ginger did joke and say he wanted to like describe to me medieval art and see if I could recreate it based on what it was. But it's just the idea is basically, imagine describing something to someone that they have never seen, and they're not even like that great at art, because obviously this was what, a few hundred years ago. They did the best they could, but most of them didn't know anatomy and all that sort of stuff to draw it like really well. So you're talking to someone that not only doesn't really have a full grasp on art in general, but who's never actually seen the thing in the first place. and then you get some incredibly hilarious looking creatures. And then you got some of the fun ones, things like that were on the maps, like the sea swine. Sea swine is a wonderful one. That's just it's glorious. Is the sea swine? It's just a pig that's a fish, and you wonder how in the hell did you create this creature until you see what the um the skeleton of a baleen whale looks like. And you're like, oh, I get it now because the lower jaw of a baleen whale looks like two massive fucking tusks. Yeah, I love all those old things. I mean, I think one of my favorite, I've got to say, has always got to be the Lamb of Tartary. Where basically a bunch of people were like, "Oh my god, what the hell is that thing?" When looking at a cotton plant and thinking it was basically a plant that grew sheep because that was the closest thing they could think of. And so all of the pictures are just a plant with a whole ass fucking sheep sitting on top of it. This was also the time when anything that flew was called a bird, and so there's a description for a bee that talks about it being a very small bird. And to us, that sounds stupid because a bird is a bird. I mean, what else is it going to be? But with a different definition of bird just being thing that flies. It's like how fish was thing that swims. Yeah, at some point I do want to do that sort of like silly stream where I have like either Sheepa or Ginger on, and they just have to describe things to me, and I have to try and work out what the fuck they're doing, what they're talking about, and then try and draw it. I think that'd be a fun stream to try. I'm swapping to the soft round brush now, I think. Oh, as the starting apparently. Sorry, anyone that gets locked in that jail. I love that Path of Exile is on Steam as pre-order, and then it just says free to play. I'm like, how do you pre-order a free to play game? That's a silly thing to suggest. Oh yeah, I was gonna skip forward in the Nia soundtrack a bit. Let's find some of the more energetic tracks. I really need to work on my shoulder strength so I can draw for longer. I've not even finished it. I've not even been going for. I've just been going for an hour, and my shoulder's already starting to ache. I'm not even able to like hit the 2 hour mark anymore. So I need to work on that. I mean, it may also be that I've done this 3 days this week, which is more than I've done for quite a while. So it may just be that I just need to do it more often and build up their resilience. Must resist the urge to use the, the black pen to do shadows. The one thing I want to add to these like sessions that I'm studying is the whole third step of the study, which is using what we've learnt so far to do a similar scene. So this is the mechanical one. Maybe doing like the inside area of a locomotive or another industrial thing. Because that's like one of the important parts of this that I'm completely skipping because my arm dies halfway through it. Because the whole point is, you try and like copy what someone's done, understand how they've done it and like what they're doing, and then try and apply that to something of yours. And that's how you learn how to like pick those things out of someone's style and do them for your own work. I mean, all of these studies that I'm doing, they're just sitting in a folder on my computer called studies. Never going to say they're mine because, quite frankly, this is not mine. This is me copying someone else's scene to work out how they did it. That's what the studies are. That's what they used to do back in the day. You'd send off your apprentices to go and copy the great artworks in the hopes that they can learn something and then make their own great artworks later on. That's why they say study the masters. It literally, they meant study what they did, like this. And I have a whole folder. Well, I have 2 folders of studies, because I have one that's called Safe to Stream, and the other one is just all of the other things. Because there are some ones I would like to study that I do not believe would be kosher for Twitch's terms of service. And so I'm not going to be streaming them because, I like having a channel. And whilst I know that Twitch are like, oh yeah, it's fine to like have nudity if it's for artistic reasons, we all know that that is not going to be the case. So yeah, I could do like nude figure drawings and stuff, but Twitch would quite easily just go, nah, sorry, you're not having your account for a week. Which I do find really stupid. Especially now they have like the mature audience flag, which I have on. Even though I don't really swear much. Or at all, usually. I would rather have an 18 plus audience so the people in chat don't feel crap. You don't feel like they have to like hold their tongue about certain things. Sheepa, I will say fuck just for you. Luckily, I'm not averse to saying swear words. He's going to go off and giggle about it now. In case anyone was wondering, this is one of my favourite tracks from the entire of the Nier Drakengard soundtracks. There's a bunch of them that have this same sort of theme, and I love them all. Well, they don't. I mean, don't forget, it took about. I think there's about 10 years between the first Nier and the second Nier game. We didn't expect there to even be a second one. And suddenly, out of nowhere, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing a second one. The difference is, Bethesda put out, pretty much buggy messes, whereas these devs spend those 10 years making something that actually is fucking good. So I don't know if they're actually going to make another game. And quite frankly, if they don't, I don't mind. Because they've left us with a banger. Whether Yoko Taro wants to add another one in and make us even more fucking depressed at the end of the Nier 3, I don't know. But I know that whatever they do will be fucking amazing because they are really good at what they do. And they're doing an anime, but the anime is basically the game. It's like giving the story for the game essentially because it's just 2B and 9S, and at the end of the game they don't exist. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they did do the was it Higurashi when they cry thing? Having multiple different versions of the anime based on the route that you're on. Because quite a few animes that are based on visual novels have done that, where they've got like the first one is the route following this person, and then they do another season that's this is the route following this person, and the first few episodes are very similar, and then they heavily diverge. See, one of the things that gets me the most about things like Nier and games like that is that even though the game itself is a masterpiece, they're still like, oh yeah, we're gonna put in some really ridiculous things like being able to make 2B's skirt explode off and 9S's short explode off. And then we're gonna give you an achievement for walking around for an hour with 9S's short exploded off. Why? There's no need for this, but they did it anyway because it's fucking silly. Wait, what? What the hell are you doing, Stream Elements? I've never told you to do that. I have never set Stream Elements up to put my throne wish list here. What the fuck? It's gained sentience. It's trying to make me money. Well, I say make me money. It's trying to get me shiny things. Now, feel free to ignore that because I don't promote that sort of stuff. That's just a fun little thing. which I have to use Amazon for after the thing that Ezzy got me got fucking lost somewhere over the seas of Japan. Well, actually, it got lost in Coventry, which is almost as out of the way. And I reckon it's because they couldn't be bothered to contact me about customs charges. Or they contacted Throne about customs charges and Throne just never let me know. So sadly, somewhere out there, there is I think it's the body Chan. I think it was the anime style drawing assistant mannequin thing. Out there somewhere. I should actually look at Stream Elements one of these days because I haven't looked at it for probably over a year. As soon as I stopped using Streamlabs, I don't even know if they're owned by the same company, but whatever. I just kind of like ignored it because I never used it for anything. Why would you do that to yourself? I think phone games are a lot more of a big deal over in Japan because obviously commuting times is like one of the few like times in the day when people have chance to actually do gaming. And a lot of them look nice, but then a lot of them are not exactly full of gameplay. Oh yeah, clan. You got to have clans on your mobile game. Okay, I've missed a lot of detail out on it because I've not done this entire whatever the hell it is behind the guy's head. Yeah, it didn't do this one. This one didn't turn out as good as the one I did the other day. It's okay. considering I've spent an hour on it, it could be way better. I mean, if you zoom out enough, they're kind of similar. But compared to the one we did the other day, that just turned out. This one just turned out way nicer than today's one. There was this one I was also going to look at. I thought of looking at today, but a lot of it is like the little details and like I don't know. Maybe next time we'll do this one because this one is like pure. It's the epitome of the we've got the color in the right place, and then we're just going to do a little squiggle for the detail. I mean, even like the lines and the colors do not match, which is the reason why I like this style. It's a lot more like it's a lot messier than normal, but it's just a nicer looking style to me than just like generic, very clean stuff that I'm used to. It's why I've like not been too concerned about making the lines perfect and making sure that the colors like colors do not stay inside the lines. I do know my lines need work because they are very scratchy rather than like single stroke lines. But that's something I just gets worked on just as you do stuff. So hopefully that will improve over time. Before another ad turns up, which probably will, well, about 20 minutes' time. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, Laser stopped streaming. I thought she was going to stream for longer. I guess. Oh my god, Stars is playing Fortnite. I don't know if I want to put. I don't know if I want to like make people go through that. Come on. That's a same category. That's not art. You're playing League. Ha 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 ha. Very funny, Sheeper. Very funny. No. We're not going to look at any. We're just going to go to. As much as I hate Fortnite, Starzy needs some love. Whilst I would raid someone else, I don't know them enough to to warrant it. So I'm going to send everyone over to Stasi, say hello, call her a kitty because it's funny. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.